So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to take a quick look at Valkyr Prime. I'm not going to be doing a full review for Valkyr Prime simply because, well, in addition to getting energy when you touch either a death orb or a death cabinet in the void, and shooting multiple rip lines when targeting an enemy, which is just a cosmetic change, it's still the good old Valkyr that we all know and love. She's just had a little bit of a facelift and she has slightly better stats. Now, speaking about better stats, Valkyr Prime comes with higher energy pool of 150, which will go up to 225 at rank 30, and she has 100 more armor, so she has 700 base armor. Now, this is a pretty big buff, although it's not very noticeable when you're going from Valkyr to Valkyr Prime, because Valkyr already had 600 armor, but if you go and play a different frame for a little bit, and then you come back to Valkyr Prime, you will notice the high armor. It provides a ton of damage mitigation, especially when you mod for it. Other than that, she still has only 100 health, which will go up to 300 at rank 30, 50 shields, which will go up to 150 at rank 30. She's faster than most other Warframes with sprint speed of 1.1, and she has one more V polarity, so she has 3 V polarities and an additional V polarity in the aura slot. Overall, Valkyr Prime, just like the regular Valkyr, is incredibly tanky due to the high mitigation she gets from her armor and also the invulnerability she gets from Hysteria, so she's perfect for high-level missions. And if you are a fan of melee weapons, this is a Warframe you should definitely get due to her Warcry ability and the Eternal War Augment. This ability grants you and your allies bonus attack speed and armor while slowing enemies down. And the Augment extends the duration of Warcry if you kill an enemy with your melee weapon. This allows you to sustain Warcry pretty much indefinitely if you're in full melee mode. And if you sustain a little bit too much damage, you can always jump into Hysteria, which makes you invulnerable and grants you lifesteal. Now, Valkyr Prime parts, just like the parts for any other primed Warframe, come from relics. So the blueprint is a common drop from the Meso S3 relic, your optics are an uncommon drop from the Meso C2 relic, chassis is a rare drop from the Axii V5 relic, and the systems are a rare drop from the Meso V3 relic. Now, as far as the build is concerned, I am running a 3 Forma build that I like to call the Eternal Tankier, and I format away the V from the aura slot into a D, and I've added 2 more Ds. Now, I designed this build around high-level melee combat. It can still be used with primary and secondary weapons because it's incredibly tanky, but high-level melee combat is what it does best. So the aura I'm using is Rejuvenation, but if you're not a big fan of Rejuvenation, you can simply keep the V there, which will bump this build down to 2 Forma, and you can use Steel Charge instead. I don't like Steel Charge anymore because, well, most melee weapons are so powerful nowadays with the Blood Rush body count combo, or with simply just body count, they don't really need Steel Charge, so I decided to go for Rejuvenation, which gives me a ton of survivability. This build has 1785 armor, so health is absolutely huge. And the combination of Rejuvenation and Medi-Ray that I have on my Carrier Prime means that I get more than enough health passively by just running around, so I don't have to use a Life Strike on my melee weapons, and I have one more mod slot there. I'm still playing around with the Stand United aura, but I don't know if the 25.5% bonus armor gives you enough mitigation to use it over Rejuvenation. But anyway, moving on, I am using Primed Continuity, which simply increases the duration on my Warcry, which makes it much easier to sustain, and it also reduces the drain on Hysteria for those moments where you take a lot of damage, so you want to jump into Hysteria, hit a couple of dudes, get all your health back, or when you want to revive a downed teammate. The primed version is not necessary. You can simply use the regular version. You're just going to have slightly shorter Warcry, and Hysteria is going to drain slightly more energy. Next on the list, I have Eternal War, which, as I've said already, is going to increase the duration of Warcry every time I kill an enemy with my melee weapon, which is great for this build. Then for some power strength, I'm using Intensify and Power Drift, and this simply gives me more attack speed and more armor during Warcry. I've tried adding more power strength, but that adds too much attack speed and it breaks some of the melee combos. Then, to take advantage of all that armor that we have, I'm using Vitality and Vigor for loads of health. And from my comment section, I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Vigor, but as I've said already, health is huge. The more health you have, the tankier you're gonna be, and that's what this build is designed to do. It's designed to be really tanky. Then of course we want to scale up the armor, so I'm using Steel Fiber, which just adds flat armor, and Armored Agility, which adds a little bit of armor, but it also adds movement speed, which is really nice if you want to go full melee. And finally, I'm using Rage. Now, this build does not need a lot of energy. You basically just cast Warcry once and you're good to go. Rage is here for defensive purposes because, well, if you want to go into Hysteria and you want to heal up, it's because you took a lot of damage. But what if you don't have energy? Well, if you add Rage, every time you take too much damage so you want to go into Hysteria, you're gonna have more than enough energy to go into Hysteria thanks to Rage. So this is just another mod that adds to the survivability of this build. I am very happy with how this build turned out. It is not very expensive to do, which is always nice when I want to showcase it on YouTube, and it's extremely tanky, and I do mean extremely tanky. I don't think I've managed to die yet. I have come close to dying a couple of times in very high level missions, but I always had more than enough energy thanks to Raid, so I just jumped into Hysteria, punched a couple of dudes, and I was back at full health. And the attack speed with 145% power strength is just enough so that weapons with Berserker don't break due to too much attack speed, but it also works for weapons that only run Primed Fury or even the regular Fury. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you get Valkyr Prime, or at least the regular Valkyr, and I would also give this build a try. If you're not a big fan of rejuvenation and you don't want to use too much Forma, you can simply keep the V polarity in the aura slot and put in Steel Charge, and you're gonna get more damage out of this build. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!